graduations, for homecomings, for all the things they visit Syracuse, they ought to pay a piece of the pie. Quick estimation on that too, we could be collecting north of $2 million in city room occupancy tax alone per year, and I'd like to implement that.
Thank you. Mr. Nicolai.
Thank you. We do have a financial crisis. Anybody that tells you otherwise does not understand the city budget or does not have a good look at reality. My fellow counselors who are here will tell you we've been struggling with this for the last several weeks. It caused controversy over the land bank. It's causing controversy now. Let me tell you the end result and then work back. I wish we had more than 2 minutes because this is a very complicated issue. The end result, if we get a financial control board here, is a disaster. The mayor does nothing. The financial control board can set salaries, can set schedules, can do everything they can, and who suffers are the workers. The working people will suffer. So we have to prevent it. The second thing is over 50% of the city property is tax exempt. The third thing is, for all the good that pilots do, what we find is we get a payment in lieu of taxes, but we're losing a little money on that, okay, so to speak. The next thing is that our community benefits have not been as strong as they should be. And finally, it is all about relationships, okay? Whether you like the governor or you like the county executive or you like your congressman, it's about relationships if we are going to survive. I've seen the governor go to Buffalo, Rochester, and Albany and give spin-up money after spin-up money and money for housing, money for schools constantly. We need to rebuild those relationships. We need to have a working relationship with the governor. We may not share the same politics as our congressman, but we need him to represent us in Washington. So when money is being handed out for infrastructure or other problems, we're on the front line. And finally, we need a relationship with the county executive. I have all those relationships. As you know, I've worked in Albany, worked locally, and done some federal work on the side. I can just tell you this, if we do not get our financial house in order, when the mayor took over, Mayor Minor took over, we had some $68 million, $65 million in the fund. We're down to 26 or 27 after the council made some cuts. That is 2 years maximum. We need to reorganize our city.
Thank you. Mr. Walsh.
Thank you. I talked earlier about my role as the city's economic development director, and that plays a big role in the response to this question. We need to grow our way out of the problem. There are some short-term things that we can do to make our government more efficient. I look forward to working on those, but we need to grow our tax base. I have a proven track record of doing that. Overall assessment on city properties is up. When I was in the role of having to negotiate tax deals, oftentimes controversial tax deals. When I took over in 2010, we were looking at tax deals that ranged from up to 20 years. I brought down the number of years of those tax deals, and I negotiated community benefits into those tax deals. Many things that you're hearing people talk about, I did. We need to continue to support development and grow our way out of this problem. The land bank was brought up. The land bank is another program that I played an integral role in. The land bank is helping the city more effectively collect taxes in the city. That is something that we need to continue to support and not abandon. Finally, we have a lot of forces working against us as a community, global macroeconomic forces that we have very little control of. That's why we need to control the things we can. And unfortunately, we as a community are really good at working against ourselves, which is why, as mayor, I intend to develop strong relationships, nurture the relationships I already have with the county executive, with the governor. As you know, as you probably picked up on, we're all best friends with the county executive and the governor. I'll include myself in that category. I have worked with all the leaders in our community. I think that's critically important to make sure we continue to do that. Last but not least, I also want to mention something that hasn't been talked much about. The city owns a lot of property. We talk about property that is not currently on the tax rolls. The city owns a lot of that, and a lot of it currently goes underutilized. Look just downtown to the old Greystone building. These are properties that are sitting vacant that could be put to more productive uses. And as mayor, I'm going to make sure we do a full inventory of city properties, and the ones that aren't being used for city purposes are going to get put back on the tax rolls. Thank you.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Obviously, if we knew what the answers were to raising revenue, I would like to think that we would have already started that process. But the fact remains, we haven't been creative. We haven't been innovative. And a lot of the leadership that are presently in the city have not been able to do this. So it's going to take a multifaceted approach. And quite frankly, the first thing that a mayor needs to do is to look at our assets, look at our resources, and look at whether or not we have actually deployed our services effectively. I'm confident we have not. I'm confident that our management style in the city has wasted resources. I'm confident that with different leadership, different expertise, we could see a better benefit to people, to neighborhoods, to our schools, if in fact we're looking at how our resources are being deployed. Police, overtime. Could we do that better? Absolutely. Overtime for cleaning our streets, taking care of our trees. Could we do that differently? Absolutely. But the fact remains, no one's in charge. No one is managing. And I will do that as your mayor. 3 things that I am focusing on. Number 1, I-81. I'm going to keep talking about it. The design that we go with will tell us exactly how much property value we can now increase in our city and raise our tax revenue. That is an important project we cannot overlook. Number 2, property values and assessment. We need to start looking at not just how land is assessed, but how much money each landowner is bringing in, i.e. our landlords, and looking at a tax based on how much money you're bringing in and charging our citizens. And number 3, when it comes to raising revenue, we do need to look at those entities that are not paying taxes and be creative like other cities with service fees and assessments. Those are the types of ways that we can raise money. But I'll be the mayor that first looks how we deploy our services now and save our resources immediately.
Howie Hawkins.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, come on.
Okay, I'm getting feedback, but go ahead.
Howie, before you start talking, put your computer on mute. Your computer on mute. You got your mic on mute? You need to put your speakers on mute. Okay? Let's try it again.
Yeah, for the next round, we can get to it. So what I was saying was the next mayor's top priority has got to be dealing with this fiscal crisis. Because we get a financial control board, and the future will look like Flint, which had its water poisoned, or Detroit, which had its schools destroyed. And we want control of our own destiny. We don't have time to grow the tax base in a year or two sufficient to cover this gap. And I think the state has set us up with the fact that they charge us in state programs. That means those are the unfunded mandates. And that's off the charts compared to other states. So the first thing we got to do in terms of getting revenues is get the state to pay for its mandates. We used to share 8% of the state revenues in the late 70s down to 0.5%. And I think we can build a coalition of all the other state municipalities to get state government to fill this obligation there. In general, we've got to broaden the tax base and have the rich pay their fair share. That means the Foundation aid formula for the schools, which they haven't fully funded since the financial crisis. It means we should get state permission for an income tax of income made in the city, including commuters who come in the city, make good money at the hospital and universities and downtown, and go to the suburbs and don't pay for the service fees. And income tax is only fair. We need payroll taxes. It'd be $38 million for the city and $42 million for the schools. $80 million for the combined budget. That would more than cover the fiscal gap. And finally, we should take up the consensus commission on its proposal for county property tax sharing, which they call the municipal development fund. And I think that would help with our revenue problem too. And I hope feedback wasn't as bad for you as it was for me.
It was a little rough, but we heard you, Howard. Thank you. Don't hang up. Here we go. So, given that in our earlier question, the first question that we posed, a few of our candidates talked about engaging you all as part and parcel to the answers, to some of the answers that they gave us. So the third question is going to be about civic engagement. What is the city's mechanism for engaging citizen participation, and what would you do to increase it? So the question is, what is the city's current mechanism for engaging citizen participation, and what would you do to increase it? What new citizen participation mechanism are you planning to put in place? How would you develop and implement civic engagement to foster new leadership? We always hear politicians telling us about what we could do as citizens, right? So we want to make sure you all know how to operationalize that. Share that with us today. Well, I guess I gotta tell you to go first, huh? Let's start in the middle. Martin.
Thank you. I'll try to lean back. I think that's less feedback. So civic engagement is obviously very important. I think past mayors have done different things, and I'd like to implement a lot of them into my administration. For example, under the Driscoll administration, I know that there were town hall meetings regularly during the summer with each department head to, making each department head come so that your issues could be addressed specifically by the department that needed to be handling that specifically, and my administration will host those town hall meetings. I know the minor administration has a ministers meeting monthly, amongst other things, but we need to engage the many communities and neighborhoods are of course centered around those institutions, where your faith-based institutions. And I think that those ministers' meetings are very vital and helpful so that the ministers can relate right to the administration the problems that we face within our community. As city auditor, when I was once again at the county ledge and common council, I did my very best to be the most accessible elected official possible. Anybody who's ever walked onto the 4th floor of City Hall right now knows that you can walk into the city audit department at any time, sit down at my desk. When I'm not at City Hall, it forwards to my cell phone because those calls are all important to me at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. I want to be accessible. I want to hear your feelings, and as mayor, I will do everything within my power to be accessible to make sure that everybody's voice is heard. Thank you.
And thank you very much, Martin. We're going to go to Joseph next. I am going to enforce the 2-minute rule around this one a little bit more carefully and stringent. We know the budget question needed some expansion, but for this one we are going to enforce the 2 minutes because we're going to stay in time. If you have not filled out an index card around your question, please do so because we're collecting those now. Okay? Thank you. Go ahead, Joseph.
Okay. In the past years, we've had neighborhood service bureaus where they went out to the neighborhoods or people came into City Hall, and mayors went around and traveled meetings. In the next few weeks, I'll be unveiling a major reorganization plan that will affect the people of this city, particularly area of code enforcement, police protection, housing, and neighborhood participation. As an assembly member and a former city councilor in the past, I've always made it my business to be out in the neighborhood. I will reinstitute those meetings again. I will also reinstitute and strengthen and expand the mayor's cabinet, as well as attending neighborhoods meetings throughout the whole community. It is very important that if we're going to succeed, that there be communication between the people and their elected officials. I want everybody to feel that you're not talking to the mayor, but you're talking to Joe Nicoletti, and that I'm your neighbor, and I want to hear what you think. Community cannot survive unless it is strong in the neighborhoods and with all the people. And I intend on setting up a network between meetings, communications on the internet, as well as Neighborhood Service Bureau, as well as working through existing neighborhood groups to be able to work with you. TNT is nice, but it's not enough. We need to get out to every neighborhood, no matter where it is in this city, and we need to make people believe that they have input into their city. And it's only by feeling that you have a piece of your city that this city will turn around and become a better city. This is not my city, this is not their city, it's our city. And together we will succeed. Thank you.
Thank you. In my conversations with people,
Oh, I'm sorry. It was bad, but it's fine. Oh, bad. Oh,
Go ahead, Lori.
no, thank you.
Okay,
This is the battle of politeness. Go ahead.
thank you. I'm just gonna put something out there. Under my administration, decisions about neighborhoods will not be made without neighbors at the table. Let me say that again. We cannot make decisions about neighborhoods if we don't have the neighbors who live in those neighborhoods at the table. But all too often, that's what happens in this community. And we talk about community engagement. We talk about bringing people together. But oftentimes, the way that it works is leadership brings everybody into a room, tells them what they think they want to hear, tells them how they're going to fix their problems, lets some people vent a little bit, then they check the community engagement box and they go on about their business. That's not community engagement. And the reality is community engagement is hard. It's hard to actually let people voice their opinions and to be open to constructive criticism as a leader. But that's exactly what I intend to do. The TNT process is a mechanism. It's a mechanism, frankly, that is under-resourced and without direction coming from City Hall. It is one of many different avenues for community engagement. In some neighborhoods, TNT is effective. In other neighborhoods, it's their neighborhood organizations. There is not a one-size-fits-all model. What we have to do is sit down with citizens, understand the way in which decisions are made in those neighborhoods, and figure out how to incorporate that process into the city's decision-making process, because right now those decisions are being made without neighborhood input, and that's unacceptable.
As many of you know, we are presently going through the petitioning process. And if you read the Post-Standard last week, you saw what I'm going to do. I'm going to knock on the windows of cars parked in corners. I'm going to go where no one else goes. That's how I'm going to engage the people in this city. That's what I've always done. I'm comfortable with it, and I'm certainly not going to back off because it's a neighborhood that no other elected officials will go to. I'm confident that what we fail to recognize is that the people in this city don't all speak the same language. How could we possibly be engaging them? We meet at noon and 1 o'clock during the business day when people work. How could we possibly be engaging them? I have learned so much in this petitioning process because I'm listening. It's not about your ideas and your solutions. It's about 144,000 people in this city that simply want to be heard. And the way you engage them is not ask them to come to the table, you go to their table. And I plan on doing that as a mayor. You will not find me in City Hall. I will be in your neighborhoods, knocking on your car windows and asking you about what's happening in your neighborhood to make sure that the decisions and the ideas are coming from you.
thank you. In my conversations with people around the city of Syracuse, one of the complaints I hear is that some people feel that they are marginalized and disenfranchised by the leadership in the city. When I became a school superintendent, the first thing I did was I sent out the message to my school community that I was going to hold listening sessions. 2.5 months of listening sessions. People did not need to make an appointment. The door was open. I had parents, students of all ages. I had 3rd and 4th graders who wanted to come and talk to the new superintendent. Dealing with school board members, bargaining unit members, people in the community who don't have children in the school, but obviously have a vested interest in what goes on in the school district. All I did was listen. I wrote notes for 2.5 months, notebooks worth. And from that feedback, my school board and I created a strategic plan. It's not a multi-page document. It's 1 page, a strategic plan for how we were going to make ourselves more accountable to our students. How are we going to increase our graduation rate on time with the cohort? How are we going to increase literacy? How are we, whatever it is, whatever the issues are for your organization, you start by listening and you build your strategic plan. And then you keep that strategic plan front and center where it's transparent, visible, audible. And you invite participation by the public. So in our case, we kept our strategic plan on every single school board agenda for the last 3 years. Every other week, you would see on our school board agenda feedback from the superintendent on the strategic plan. Always inviting people in the community at school board meetings to weigh in on this. It's a skill set that you just have developed as a school leader. And that's how we've increased our graduation rates over 3 years from 81% to 94%. That's how we got off the state comptroller's fiscal stress list. That's how we had the highest passing rate of our budget last month in school district history, by listening and continuing to be accountable to the people who have told you they felt marginalized and disenfranchised. Thank you.
Now, maybe I'm crazy, but when I think of civic engagement, I actually think about, citizens, right? What's the participation of people in this community, residents, who have an option or an opportunity to hear their voices? Not what City Hall is going to do, but how are we going to inspire people in this community to get engaged with the challenges that we face and be part of the solutions? First and foremost, we've practiced what I call defensive politics here in Syracuse for a long time. Who here has been to a TNT meeting before? Raise your hands, so I know you all have. Raise them. Yeah.
Be careful the way you tread.
No, I ain't the TNT, it's the process. So here's what happens at the TNT meetings, and all too often as we talk about civic engagement, is you go in and voice your concerns and somebody tells you why it's like that. Why they can't do anything about it. Why, your point might be heard, but it ends right there. Doing something different means changing the way we have these conversations. The first thing we need to do is take the TNT model and decentralize it, make it more